Teardrop Park in Battery Park City in Lower Manhattan is just under 2 acres in size and is located between the West Side Highway and the southernmost stretch of the Hudson River before it opens into New York Bay. Teardrop Park has been called a hidden gem because it's surrounded by 4 very tall residential buildings and is entered into by 5 winding pathways shaded by trees. It is the only park in Lower Manhattan that has hills and large rock outcroppings. The entire park is man-made by artists and engineers. The principal artists for Teardrop Park are Hamilton and Michael Mercil. The park is best described as an unfolding landscape of discovery. It offers adventure and a green sanctuary engaging to mind and body. It uses expressive natural materials to create a compelling park within the city. Teardrop Park offers geologic sections that evoke a sense of geologic flux and transition between present time and past time, or now and then. The concept of an imaginative landscape within a modern urban setting was created with lush plantings of over 60,000 trees, shrubs, vines, and bulbs, all of which invite the birds in. 30,000 tons of stone was brought into the park. Slabs of bluestone rock erupt as if from a recent earthquake. A reading area is designed purely of boulders. A long, sloping lawn was designed specifically for rolling down and for offering a challenging hike uphill for little children. There are dramatic changes in scale throughout the park. Children and their affinity for being free in nature and exploring and discovering independently was a high priority for the Teardrop Park artists and designers. Together, artists Hamilton, Michael Mercil, and the team of landscape designers made a place for people of all ages that is sensory, poetic, unique, and invites visitors to engage with nature in many ways. Because of its many microenvironments and its focus on public use, Teardrop Park has become the setting for many activities, from giant puppet pageants, fairy tales, dance performances, Shakespeare in the Park, to poetry readings. Teardrop Park is also the perfect place for water play on summer days and hide-and-go-seek anytime.
That we didn't want to necessarily make a thing that you could point to and say there's the art, but to fold into the qualities of experience that are made in the landscape. And that is not a thing, but it's made up of all the elements of the landscape and the experience of it. And that's actually where our work is. Elevation, a shift in elevation was one way to really think about not only the overall form, but extending the experience of being here.
We also wanted to bring a sense, particularly for children, that there was the potential to get lost, to go wild. I mean, that was kind of my joke. Let the kids go wild. All they need is a stick, some dirt, and some water, and they'll be occupied for hours.
We do live in a culture that's very nervous about public space that's not highly programmed.
This compression and release is really the geologic incident, because that's the geologic condition, is always compression and release and compression and release. And I think that's the destabilization of that is one of the things we were interested in that a person's body, as they move through this space, whether you're a child or an adult, this sense of adventure is partly that, you are on the one moment confined, but there's always something beyond that confinement that releases you into a new experience.
And you can kind of disappear. I always think about it like, it's like, oh, you can be like the squirrel.
Right.
You can like go under, then you can come up, and pretty soon you're in another world. There's not a path that says come up here, but look at this. All the kids, they climb up and find their way.
And that's one reason too why I think we work so well with Michael Van Valkenburg and his firm, because their sensibility is very complementary to that.
But the other thing is, as obviously the care, like you can see that it's highly tended, and so as much as possible when they need to section a space off, they're trying to do it within the vocabulary of the park, and that says a whole lot about Battery Park City's tending and care for the ethic that informs the park.
So my favorite part of the park is maybe one of the more quiet or less extraordinary parts, and it's this kind of wetland, bog almost area that just really has a very long, horizontal, downed tree. All that you have here is you have sticks and dirt and leaves and rock and
Water.
and it's what you make of those. And there's a kind of wildness in what is obviously a huge metropolitan city.
A work of art is not a thing, just as a landscape is not a thing, but is an experience. At Teardrop Park, you can lose yourself within the landscape, just like you can lose yourself within a work of art. There's no place you can stand and say, over here is the artwork and over there is the landscape. They happen together. That's when the real relationship is at its best, when they become one thing seamlessly woven as a single experience.
What is civic space right now? And what kind of opportunities, other than parks, really, do we have to both be alone and be together?
Visit Battery Park City in Lower Manhattan and see almost 24 examples of the art of our time, from installations and landworks to sculpture and memorials.